Welcome to Hot Drama TV.
When a voice returned at New Year, Liu Yuning and the song that found its moment. There are stages that entertain, and then there are stages that remember. On a winter night in Beijing, during the recording of the Spring Festival Gala, one such stage waited quietly. Millions would soon be watching from living rooms filled with warmth, distance, longing, and hope. But before the broadcast, before the applause, there was a moment of stillness, and a voice that felt destined to return. That voice belonged to Liu Yuning, a stage larger than music. The Spring Festival Gala is not simply a show. It is a national pause. A moment when time slows, when families gather, when absence is felt as strongly as presence. To stand on this stage is to carry more than a melody. It is to carry memory, expectation, and emotional truth. Liu Yuning did not step onto the stage as a spectacle. He stepped onto it as someone familiar, almost like someone returning home. The song that chose its singer. The song he performed was titled, "Those Who Are Meant to Meet Will Meet Again." It is a simple sentence, but during the Lunar New Year it becomes a promise. The song does not shout. It does not dramatize pain. Instead, it speaks gently to those who have waited, those who have lost touch, those who believe that time does not erase what is meant to remain. In Liu Yuning's voice, the song felt less like a performance and more like a confession, one shared quietly with millions of unseen listeners. Why this song matters now. Reunion is the emotional core of the new year. But so is separation. For many, the holiday is filled with empty chairs, unreturned calls, unfinished conversations. This song acknowledges that reality, without bitterness, without regret. It offers something rarer: faith. Faith that paths cross again. Faith that distance is not the end. Faith that some meetings are simply delayed, not denied. That message, delivered on this stage at this time, carries extraordinary weight. Liu Yuning's unspoken story. Liu Yuning's journey has never been defined by ease. From obscurity to recognition, from internet stages to national ones, his rise has been shaped by persistence rather than privilege. Audiences sense this, not because he explains it, but because it lives in the way he sings. This is why his voice resonates. It carries lived experience. It sounds like someone who understands waiting. And so, when he sings about meeting again, it feels believable. Silence is strength. What is most striking about this appearance is what is absent. There is no spectacle, no forced emotion, no excess storytelling. The camera does not chase drama. The music does not manipulate tears. Instead, everything is restrained, allowing the audience to fill the silence with their own memories. This restraint is powerful. It shows trust, trust in the song, trust in the moment, trust in the listener. A media moment that knows when to whisper. The coverage of this appearance mirrors its tone. It does not exaggerate. It does not compete for attention. It simply documents a moment that understands its own significance. In an age of noise, this quiet confidence stands out. After the song ends, when the final note fades, what remains is not applause, but reflection. People think of someone they haven't seen in years. Someone they once promised to meet again. Someone they still carry quietly. That is the true success of this moment. Liu Yuning did not just perform a song. He gave people permission to hope. Some meetings are never lost. As the new year approaches, the message lingers. Those who are meant to meet will meet again. On the Spring Festival stage in Beijing, Liu Yuning did not announce his presence. He reminded us of something we already knew, that some voices return exactly when we need them most. When the camera cut away, the meaning stayed. After the recording ended, there was no grand declaration, no dramatic bow. Just a quiet moment where the stage lights dimmed and the song settled into silence. But silence in moments like these is not empty. It is full of thought. The kind of silence where people look down at their phones, hesitate, and then decide to send a message they have been delaying for years. Why this performance felt personal. Everyone heard the same song, but everyone heard something different. For some, it was about family separated by distance. For others, it was about friendships lost to time. For some, it was about love that never found the right moment. This is why the song worked. It did not tell the audience what to feel. It simply opened a door. And Liu Yuning stood there holding it open. The weight of returning. There is something deeply human about returning. Returning to a place. Returning to a memory. returning to a version of yourself you once were. Liu Yuning's presence on the Spring Festival stage carried that weight. It felt like the return of someone who had once stood far away, watching the world from the outside, believing quietly that his moment would come. And when it did, he did not rush it. A voice that doesn't rush emotion. Many singers aim to impress. Some aim to overwhelm. Liu Yuning does something different. He waits. He lets emotion arrive on its own. He allows space between lines, space between notes, space for the listener to enter the song. That patience is rare. And it is why his performances linger long after they end. The Spring Festival as emotional mirror. The New Year is not just about celebration. It is about accounting. People count what they gained. They count what they lost. They count who is still with them. This performance reflected that emotional accounting back to the audience, without judgment, without urgency. Just understanding what this moment signals. This appearance is not a peak. It is a marker. A sign that Liu Yuning has moved into a new phase of his career. One defined not by virality or momentum, but by trust. Trust from producers. Trust from audiences. Trust from a stage that does not invite just anyone to speak for millions. In the end, it was about belief. Belief in time. Belief in fate. Belief that what is meant to stay will not disappear. The song ends, but its message does not. Somewhere, someone decides not to give up on a meeting that hasn't happened yet. Somewhere, someone believes again. And that is the quiet power of this moment. A final thought before the new year begins. As fireworks rise and calendars turn, the question remains. Who is someone you believe you will meet again? On a winter night in Beijing, Liu Yuning didn't answer that question for us. He simply reminded us that the answer is still possible. Long after the song, people kept listening. What lingered was not the melody. It was the feeling that something had been said without being explained. People replayed the performance, not to hear the notes again, but to sit inside the emotion a little longer. In comments, in private messages, in quiet conversations, the same sentiment surfaced again and again. This felt like it was meant for me. That is the rarest response an artist can receive. The courage to be gentle. In a time when speed dominates everything, music, fame, emotion, choosing gentleness is an act of courage. Liu Yuning did not push the moment forward. He allowed it to breathe. His performance respected the audience's intelligence and emotional depth. It trusted that people do not need to be told how to feel, they only need to be met where they already are. That trust creates loyalty. And loyalty lasts longer than applause. Why this resonates beyond the new year. Although the Spring Festival is rooted in tradition, the message of this song reaches far beyond one night on the calendar. We live in an age of interruption. Lives interrupted by distance. Relationships interrupted by timing. Dreams interrupted by reality. The idea that those who are meant to meet will meet again is not naive. It is restorative. It offers emotional repair in a world that often moves on too quickly. An artist who understands waiting. Liu Yuning's voice carries the weight of waiting. Not as suffering but as preparation. Waiting to be seen. Waiting to be heard. Waiting for a moment that does not need to be forced. This is why his presence on the Spring Festival stage feels earned. It is the sound of someone arriving at the right time, rather than the earliest time. A different kind of success. Success is often measured in numbers, views, trends, speed. But there is another kind of success, quieter, deeper, harder to quantify. It is the moment when a stranger feels understood by a song. When a performance becomes a companion rather than a spectacle. That is the success Liu Yuning touched that night. The unspoken contract between singer and listener. Every meaningful performance creates an unspoken agreement. I will be honest. And I will listen. On that stage, that agreement was honored. No exageración. No performance of pain. Just sincerity. And sincerity travels far. As time moves forward, weeks will pass. New songs will be released. New stages will appear. But this moment will not disappear. It will surface unexpectedly. In a late-night replay, in a familiar lyric, in a quiet thought about someone once known. That is how you know a performance has crossed from entertainment into memory. Some stories end quietly because they continue elsewhere. The story of that night does not conclude with a final note. It continues wherever someone chooses to believe that time does not erase connection, only delays it. On the Spring Festival stage in Beijing, Liu Yuning didn't offer certainty. He offered something more human: hope.